They're meeting, they're preparing gun attacks, bomb attacks, attacks on crowds, of stabbings of conservative groups. And now the left's going to use Islamists as cutouts, or at least say they were Islamists, so they then don't get the blame, but they're going to use that to come to power. If you just joined us, we got 58 people dead. The number keeps climbing as folks succumb to their injuries. Unfortunately, pray for the victims, pray for the dead, pray for their families, pray for America, pray for the world, because we're entering that great time of global crisis. North Korea just had a ship seized with massive high-tech weapons, trying to sneak them into the Middle East. Trump sending another aircraft carrier. Our Pentagon sources are they're strongly looking at hitting North Korea very, very soon. Islamic State has taken responsibility as of about 2 hours ago for the terror attack that is the largest gun attack on a civilian crowd in U.S. history. Witnesses, multiple witnesses are reporting that they were told to get out. They were soon going to be killed that night. I played a clip earlier from the Friday show covering a Paul Joseph Watson article, who's joining us here in about 3 minutes, where Paul chronicled local news, police reports, communist announcements, Antifa announcements, Democratic Party announcements, and videos that Steven Crowder undercover folks got. We, of course, a month before had, just showing all the multiple sources, Doug Hagman, who we should probably get on later today, or during War Room at least, if he can't come on now, with his undercover sources saying they're meeting, they're preparing gun attacks, bomb attacks, attacks on crowds, of stabbings of conservative groups. This is so important. And Matt Bracken said 6 months ago he would imagine the leftists would attack a football game, because the NFL is seen as leftist now, during a future NFL crisis. I remember 6 months ago, we got to find the clip. He said, I imagine when the next football season comes up in the late summer, early fall, somebody would then arc in, even outside the stadium, arc in a couple thousand rounds, killing and wounding a bunch of people, and then claiming it's a right-winger with right-winger InfoWars-type literature left at the scene. And we war-gamed that this morning. We think that's probably the next big scenario. But we've talked about rock venues, country venues, churches for whites being targeted or Christians being targeted. You saw the Sudanese immigrant invader attack last weekend and shoot 9 people, killing 1. The media celebrated that. We've seen Islamic attacks in Canada, Islamic attacks in France, and the Prime Minister responded by saying, quote, end white supremacy, close quote. That story's on newswars.com. You cannot make up the magnitude of this. And now the left's going to use Islamists as cutouts, or at least say they were Islamists, so they then don't get the blame, but they're going to use that to come to power. Paul Watson has written an article where the left in mass is celebrating the attacks, just like they celebrated Texas being flooded, saying it was all white supremacists, from Charlie Hebdo to CNN. So, Paul, we're going to break in a few minutes, but what is your first approximation on this massacre?
Well, that it's absolutely horrific. I mean, the video coming out of it last night was absolutely chilling, Alex. The other thing is obviously this ISIS claim of responsibility, which there's this whole thing going around the internet, and we don't know anything yet. We don't have much information at this point, but people say, oh, ISIS claims responsibility for everything. Well, that's not actually true. And in fact, the Associated Press admitted it. They said, quote, ISIS is not known to have claimed any attacks to which it is not at least loosely linked. That's the Associated Press, not me, not Alex Jones. So a lot of people are out saying this has got absolutely no credibility. Well, it is from their official propaganda agency. The Associated Press reports they don't claim events that aren't at least linked to them in some way. We had the Edmonton attack yesterday, where it was a Somali migrant ISIS supporter who literally had an ISIS flag in his vehicle, ramming into police and pedestrians. ISIS did not claim responsibility for that. If they had claimed responsibility, everyone would have believed them, but now they're claiming responsibility for this, and nobody believes them, or at least most prominent people don't believe them, because they say, oh, they claim responsibility for everything.
Well, also, the brother, in an interview with Reuters, said his brother didn't own guns, but other media is just saying he did.
Well, they're saying that he had a hunting license, but there wasn't that many guns in his home, given the area, that it's a big gun ownership area. And his family said that he wasn't a gun nut, or he wasn't heavily into owning guns. So it doesn't really line up.
Have we found his political persuasion? Some are saying he was a leftist, but then we can't track the trails.
Well, we don't know. I mean, there's so much disinformation floating around, and there has been all day that a lot of it's been proven wrong. But we know the crowd that he fired on, like this, the whole narrative doesn't fit that he was some kind of right-wing white supremacist. Okay, he's got a non-white girlfriend. He's firing into a crowd which is predominantly white people. They're country music fans.
Yeah, he was probably a Saturday Night Live viewer. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine. If you're interested in healthy thyroid, if you're interested in well-being, if you're interested in having a higher IQ, which this has been linked to, get your powerful Survival Shield X2 at InfoWarsStore.com.